Today, we turn our attention to a coin that appears ordinary at first glance, something you might find in your pocket change, the 1990 United States 1 cent, also known as the Lincoln Memorial Cent. But within its thin copper coating and zinc core lie stories of minting change, rare mistakes, collector obsession, and significant economic value. This is not just a penny, it's a numismatic journey. You see, the 1990 Lincoln cent is part of a long tradition, but it also represents a pivotal moment in how the U.S. Mint operated. Most of these pennies were produced for circulation. Many ended up in wallets, jars, cash registers, tossed or saved. But a few never entered circulation. A very few contain minting errors so rare that their market value is massive compared to face value. We'll examine every detail: its composition, weight, design, what makes it unique, error variance, how to tell if you have a rare one, and what values are being fetched in the market. Let's start with the physical specs. The 1990 penny is 19.05 millimeters in diameter. That is about 0.750 inches. It weighs roughly 2.50 grams. Sell Rare Coins Plus One. It is composed of a zinc core with a thin copper plating. Since 1982, the U.S. penny has been made like this, because copper had become too expensive. The exact composition is about 97.5% zinc, 2.5% copper plating. Coin value checker plus when the edge of the coin is plain, smooth, no reading dot on the obverse side. The design shows the bust of Abraham Lincoln, facing right. The words, "In God We Trust," appear above his head. To the left is the word, "Liberty," and to the right the date, 1990. Beneath the date, depending on the mint, there may be a mint mark, D for Denver, S for San Francisco proof coins, or no mint mark for coins struck in Philadelphia. This detail, the mint mark, becomes one of the most important features for collectors. Coin value checker plus 2 coinidentifier.com plus 2 on the obverse. You can also see the initials of the sculptor, designer, who created the original Lincoln bust, Victor David Brenner, whose initials, VDB, appear on Lincoln's shoulder or truncation. This is a design dating back to 1909, the centennial of Lincoln's birth, when the first Lincoln cent was introduced. The reverse side features the Lincoln Memorial Building in Washington, D.C. Inside the memorial structure you can see a tiny depiction of the seated statue of Lincoln. Arcing above the building are the words, "United States of America." Beneath the image is the national motto, "E pluribus unum," and below that the denomination, 1 cent. The designer of the reverse is Frank Gasparo. This reverse design, Lincoln Memorial, was used from 1959 through 2008. Coinidentifier.com plus 2 coin value checker plus 2 now, about minting and mintage. In 1990 coins were minted in 3 locations, Philadelphia, no mint mark, struck about 6,851,765,000 pennies. Coin value checker plus 1 Denver, DE mint mark, struck about 4,922,894,533 pennies. Coin value checker plus 1 San Francisco, S mint, produced proof coins. Total proof mintage for the 1990 S proof set is around 3,299,559. These are special collector quality proof coins, not intended for general circulation. Coin value checker plus 2 coinidentifier.com plus 2 ordinary circulated coins from Philadelphia and Denver are very common. Proof coins from San Francisco are much more limited, but still in the tens of millions. However, there is a very rare variation, the 1990 S no S proof cent, meaning a proof coin struck in San Francisco that lacks the S mint mark. Fewer than 200 examples are known. Coin value checker plus 1 let's explain why that no S proof is such a big deal. Normally proof coins from San Francisco have the S mint mark clearly below the date. But due to a minting error, some proof dies were used which did not include that S. Because mint marks at that time were being placed via Master Hub earlier in the process, a change that fully took effect in 1990, this omission is unusual. Mistakes of this kind in proof coins are extremely rare, and they tend to escape into collector hands rather than circulation. Collectors prize such anomalies heavily. Coin value checker +2 coinidentifier.com +2 now, values. For everyday circulated pennies, ones you find in your pocket or cash drawer, the 1990 penny is worth its face value, 1 cent. Even if uncirculated, for most people these are inexpensive. Uncirculated pieces graded lower mint state, MS60, MS63, might sell for a few dollars or less, depending on condition. Coinidentifier.com +1. But once you move into proof coins, especially deep cameo proof coins, DCM, or that rare, no S, error, the values increase dramatically. For example, the 1990 no S DCM proof has been known to sell for thousands of dollars. One PR69 DCM specimen of the no S proof has fetched over $20,000 in past auctions. Coin value checker other examples. A PR69 red RD circulation coin in certain mint marks can also get high prices, especially if in perfect condition and with brilliant red color, meaning the copper plating is intact, bright. But those are far less rare than the proof no S. The market trends show collector demand is particularly strong for the rare proof no S variety. The more pristine the coin, graded as near perfect, like PR69 or PR70 for proof, or MS69 or MS70 for uncirculated, the higher the premium. Coins that are circulated, with wear, scratches, loss of color, etc., are less valuable. Also, color matters. Red RD, red-brown, RB or brown BN designations. Red is most prized when it comes to copper coins. Coin value checker +2 coinidentifier.com +2 in 1990, the US Mint also changed how mint marks were applied. Prior to that, mint marks were manually punched into working dies. Starting in 1990, the mint marks were applied via the master hub earlier in the die manufacturing process. That means errors or variations from manual mint mark punching became nearly impossible after that change. This adds significance to any error or omission from that period. The no S proof is one of the last major rarities of its kind in that context. Coin value checker +1. Imagine holding a small copper-colored disc that weighs less than a paperclip, and knowing it has sparked decades of fascination. The 1990 Lincoln cent is a coin that on its surface looks like every other penny you've ever seen, but beneath that thin copper plating lies an entire universe of history, industrial transformation, minting precision, and the rare human errors that can turn an object worth 1 cent into something worth a fortune. The journey of this coin doesn't just involve metal and machines, it involves people, collectors, dealers, graders, and the powerful forces of supply, demand, and desire. When the US Mint struck the 1990 pennies, the country was in the midst of rapid technological change. Computerized die making was replacing older manual methods. And while billions of coins were churned out in massive presses, carefully overseen by automated equipment, a few proof dies used in San Francisco somehow slipped through without their mint mark. This was the genesis of the legendary 1990 no S proof cent, one of the most talked about modern rarities. The fact that only a tiny number escaped into proof sets before being discovered only heightened the mystique. Collectors suddenly began checking their 1990 proof sets under magnification, hoping to spot that missing letter. Those who found one were suddenly holding a modern treasure. It's important to understand the psychology here. Coin collectors are obsessed with rarity and perfection. Most 1990 pennies are common, so common they are effectively invisible. But scarcity is what transforms perception. Take a coin that's identical to billions of others except for one missing mint mark, and you have something extraordinary. That tiny absence becomes a magnet for attention and value. It's a paradox of collecting, a flaw makes perfection. Because these errors are unintended, their survival becomes an accident of history, and accidents make for great stories. And in numismatics, great stories are worth money. Some dealers tell tales of discovering a 1990 no S proof cent tucked away in old proof sets that had sat untouched for decades. Imagine opening a government-issued proof set from 1990, expecting nothing unusual, and then noticing the missing S. Your heart would pound. Your mind would race to auctions you've read about, coins fetching tens of thousands. In that moment, the humble penny transforms into a symbol of possibility. This emotional spark is part of what drives the collector market. It's not just the coin's physical properties, weight, composition, diameter, it's the story attached to them. And what about that idea floating online that one of these could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars? In truth, that's more myth than reality. There has never been a public sale of a 1990 penny anywhere near that astronomical figure. But the myth persists because rare coins have occasionally reached shocking prices. For example, the 1794 flowing hair silver dollar sold for over $10 million, and the 1933 double eagle gold coin sold for over $18 million. When people hear about those numbers, they start imagining similar values for other rare coins. They picture that maybe, somewhere, a perfect 1990 no-S proof could be the next nine-figure marvel. And while there's no evidence to support such a figure, the dream is powerful. It fuels the hunt. It keeps people looking through their change and their old proof sets. The chase is part of the magic. Now think of the physical nature of this coin again. A 19.05mm disc, 2.5 grams, zinc core, copper coating, smooth edge. It's stamped at high speed, thousands per minute, yet expected to last decades in circulation. Billions were made, but each is technically unique at the microscopic level. Minute die scratches, planchet imperfections, strike pressure variations, all of these give each coin its own fingerprint. For most people that individuality is invisible, but for specialists it's a map. They catalog die varieties, doubled dies, repunched mint marks, misalignments, even tiny die cracks. A 1990 penny with a dramatic error like an off-center strike or a broad strike can be worth far more than face value too. So even among the common billions, surprises lurk. Collectors grade these coins with astonishing precision. They assign numbers like MS67RD, MS68RD, PR69DCM. Each part of those codes matters: MS for mint state, uncirculated, PR for proof, RD for red color, DCM for deep cameo contrast. A single point of grade can mean hundreds or thousands of dollars difference in value. This is why collectors send coins to grading companies like PCGS or NGC. A sealed plastic holder with a certified grade can multiply a coin's marketability. A raw coin might bring $50, but slabbed and graded PR69 DCM, it might bring $10,000 or more if it's the rare no-S variety. The market trusts certification. This is how tiny pieces of metal become investment-grade assets. And yet, there's a strange duality. While collectors will spend thousands chasing a flawless or rare 1990 cent, billions of others sit unwanted in drawers and jars. They are so common they're almost invisible in daily life. This makes the rare ones even more enchanting, like finding a diamond among grains of sand. It's not just owning the coin that excites collectors, it's the act of discovering it, rescuing it from anonymity. It's a triumph of attention over indifference. There's also a fascinating cultural layer. Abraham Lincoln has appeared on the cent since 1909, longer than any other person on any circulating U.S. coin. His image has endured through world wars, depressions, cultural revolutions, and the entire digital age. Every 1990 penny carries his portrait, a link back through more than a century of history. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial, itself a symbol of national memory, now tiny and discontinued after 2008, when the reverse switched to the Union Shield. So these coins also carry nostalgia. For older collectors, they represent a time when the memorial reverse was still current, when the penny still felt like a unit of value, when change jingled in pockets instead of being just digital numbers on screens. As for the economics, the penny has long cost more to produce than its face value. In 1990 it already cost more than 1 cent to make 1 cent. This irony makes collecting them even stranger. People spend more than 1 cent to get 1 cent, because of rarity, condition, and the stories attached. Markets run on emotion as much as math, and coins are proof of that. A rare 1990 penny might have less than a penny's worth of metal, yet bring thousands at auction, all because of scarcity and desire. When you dive deeper into the world of rare coins, you discover that value is built from layers of precision, reputation, and trust. The 1990 Lincoln cent is a perfect example of this hidden architecture of worth. On its surface, it is indistinguishable from billions of others, but in the hands of a seasoned collector or grader, every microscopic detail becomes meaningful. The luster, the strike sharpness, the color tone, even the tiniest blemish on the surface can shift its place in the hierarchy of value. And for coins like the 1990 no-S proof, where rarity is unquestioned, condition becomes the battlefield where prices climb into the stratosphere. Grading is the language that allows collectors and dealers to communicate value with precision. The scale most widely used is the 70-point Sheldon scale, where 1 represents a barely identifiable coin and 70 represents perfection, a flawless specimen without even the tiniest mark visible under magnification. For uncirculated coins, the term mint state is used, abbreviated MS, followed by the grade number. So MS60 is the lower end of uncirculated, with marks and dull luster, while MS68 or MS69 means a spectacular, nearly perfect strike with blazing original surfaces. For proof coins, which are made with specially polished dies and planchets to create mirror-like fields and frosted designs, the grades are written PR or PF for proof, followed by the number. And when those proof coins have strong visual contrast between the frosted design and the mirrored background, they can also get the cameo, or deep cameo, CM or DCM, designation. This is the world where the 1990 no-S proof lies, where collectors debate the difference between PR68 DCM and PR69 DCM under halogen lights and 5x magnification, and where 1 point of grade can mean thousands of dollars. Certification companies like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, are the gatekeepers in this world. They receive raw coins from collectors, examine them with trained graders under controlled conditions, assign a grade, and seal the coin in a tamper-evident plastic holder with a barcode and registration number. This slabbing process transforms a coin from a raw piece of metal into an investment-grade collectible. The market trusts these grades, and that trust drives prices. A 1990 no-S proof graded PR69 DCM by PCGS or NGC will fetch vastly more than an identical-looking coin without certification, because buyers trust the label. And trust is everything in numismatics. Auction houses are where these certified treasures often change hands. Imagine the atmosphere in a major numismatic auction, the soft lighting glinting off polished cases, the quiet murmur of dealers and collectors flipping through thick catalogs, the auctioneer's voice quickening as the bids climb. Somewhere on the block, a small copper-colored cent in a clear plastic slab sits on a velvet stand, its label reading 1990 no-S Lincoln cent, PR69 DCM. The bidding begins in the thousands, paddles rise, numbers climb, and when the hammer falls, the coin sells for over $20,000. The room exhales. For the buyer, it's not just metal, it's victory, prestige, the acquisition of something almost mythical. This scene has played out multiple times in real life for the 1990 no-S proof, and each sale reinforces its legend, pushing its market value higher in the minds of collectors. But with high value comes risk, and this is where counterfeit detection becomes crucial. Whenever a modern coin reaches 5-figure prices, counterfeiters take notice. Some attempt to remove the S mint mark from ordinary 1990 S proofs to fake a no-S error. They use tools to polish the area, hoping to erase the mint mark. But experienced graders can detect this. Under magnification, an authentic no-S proof shows no trace of mint mark tooling or disturbance, and its die markers match known genuine examples. Counterfeits often leave microscopic scratches or altered surface texture where the mint mark was removed. Others might try to add a false S to a Philadelphia coin to pass it off as proof, but the strike quality and mirror-like surfaces of real proofs are unmistakable to trained eyes. This is why serious collectors always insist on certification for high-value coins. A graded and slabbed 1990 no-S proof from PCGS or NGC is far safer than a raw one bought online without verification. Even for ordinary 1990 pennies, counterfeit detection has a role, especially when dealing with supposed high-grade MS68 or MS69 pieces. Some unscrupulous sellers artificially enhance coins, polishing or cleaning them to make them look pristine. But cleaning leaves telltale hairline scratches and dull, unnatural surfaces that graders will detect. True mint luster comes from microscopic flow lines created during striking, and once destroyed, they can't be faked. This is why grading companies reject cleaned coins and label them as details, grade, reducing their value drastically. So in this arena, authenticity isn't just about being real, it's about being untouched, unaltered, exactly as it left the mint decades ago. That untouched state is what collectors pay huge premiums for. Behind every legendary coin lies an invisible web of people who move it, value it, display it, whisper about it, and guard it. The 1990 Lincoln cent, especially the elusive no S-proof variety, has sparked the growth of its own secret economy, a network of coin shows, dealer booths, backroom deals, and private transactions where millions of dollars quietly change hands over objects no bigger than a thumbnail. These gatherings may look unassuming from the outside, just rows of tables in a convention hall, but step inside and you can feel the hum of electricity in the air. This is where collectors meet their heroes, not just the coins, but the dealers who have handled legendary rarities, the graders who have seen miracles under magnification, the auctioneers who have watched small discs of metal sell for the price of a sports car. Coin shows are the living heart of this world. Picture a massive hall filled with glass display cases gleaming under bright lights, each lined with coins resting like sleeping stars. Dealers sit behind the cases, speaking in soft, precise language, quoting grades and population numbers like a secret code. Somewhere in this maze, a dealer might have a 1990 no S-proof locked in a small black case, only brought out for serious buyers. They will open it gently, as if revealing a sacred relic. Other dealers will cluster around, peering in, nodding quietly. They know how rare it is. They know how fast it could vanish if the right buyer appears. And nearby, collectors drift from table to table with loops hanging from their necks, their eyes darting, scanning, hunting. Everyone here is chasing something. Some want beauty. Some want profit. Some just want to hold a piece of history in their hand. In this world, reputation is currency. A dealer who has been in the trade for decades and handled dozens of six-figure coins can sell a rare penny for more than an unknown seller could, even if the coins are identical. Trust adds value. A whispered endorsement from a respected figure can ignite a bidding war. Likewise, a hint of doubt, a rumor that a coin might be cleaned, altered, or not quite right, can kill its price instantly. This is why high-end coins almost always pass through the hands of established dealers or auction houses. The 1990 no S-proof is no exception. It rarely appears raw on a random marketplace. When it does, experienced collectors are cautious. They want provenance. They want a paper trail. They want to know who owned it, who graded it, who certified it. In this world, the story of the coin is part of the coin. Market hype also plays a powerful role, and it moves like a tide. When a major auction records a record-breaking sale, word spreads through forums, newsletters, and social media, and demand surges. Suddenly everyone is talking about that coin, searching their collections, checking dealer inventories, hoping to catch the wave. Prices spike. Then, if attention drifts to another hot rarity, the tide recedes. This cycle has played out with the 1990 no S-proof several times. When the first public examples sold for tens of thousands, interest exploded. Proof sets from 1990 were suddenly selling for multiples of their old prices because people were tearing them open hoping to find the error. As the available supply dried up and the known population stabilized, the frenzy cooled, but the price plateaued at a high level. That is the rhythm of this market, waves of passion cresting and settling, each leaving the coin a little more famous than before. But this volatility means collectors must be careful. Some buy on emotion, driven by fear of missing out. They see prices rising and leap in, hoping to flip for a profit, only to find the market cooling. Seasoned collectors take the long view. They know the 1990 no S-proof has intrinsic scarcity, only a handful exist, and long-term demand from serious Lincoln cent specialists. They buy not for tomorrow's flip, but for decades of enjoyment, knowing that true rarity usually appreciates slowly but steadily. This patient approach has kept the no-s proof strong in value even when other modern rarities have faded from the spotlight. While the market churns, the cultural legacy of the Lincoln cent quietly deepens. Since 1909, generations of Americans have grown up seeing Lincoln's face on their smallest coin. That longevity builds a kind of subconscious reverence. Children collect them in blue cardboard folders, pressing each new date and mint mark into place. Grandparents pass down jars of pennies from decades past. Every American alive today has handled thousands of Lincoln cents. They are woven into the fabric of everyday life. And that ubiquity creates nostalgia, the sense that this humble coin connects people to their own past, to simpler moments. The 1990 cent, with its Lincoln Memorial reverse, now discontinued, is especially soaked in this nostalgia. It represents the tail end of an era, the closing chapters of the memorial design before the Union Shield replaced it in 2010. For older collectors, the 1990 penny isn't just a coin, it's a memory of a different America, of lunch counters and payphones and jingling pocket change. This emotional weight amplifies the power of rarity. When something so familiar becomes rare, it becomes haunting. A single 1990 no-s proof glows with that paradox, utterly ordinary to the eye, unimaginably scarce in reality. It is a ghost of everyday life, a shadow version of something everyone knows. That contrast is what makes people pay 5 figures. They aren't just buying a coin, they are buying the feeling of seeing the impossible hiding in plain sight. It's like owning a secret door in the middle of a crowded street. This feeling is priceless to collectors, and it keeps demand alive even when logic says a 1-cent coin should be worth 1 cent. Dealer networks are the arteries that carry these treasures from one collector to another. Many of the most valuable coins never appear on public markets at all. They trade quietly between private collectors through trusted intermediaries, whispered about but rarely seen. A collector might approach a known dealer and say they are looking for a 1990 no-s proof in PR 69 DCM. The dealer might know someone who has one but isn't actively selling. They make discreet calls, negotiate privately, and weeks later the coin changes hands in a quiet room for a sum most people would never associate with a penny. No fanfare, no public auction, just a quiet transaction among people who speak the same language of rarity. This hidden market is where some of the highest-end coins live their lives, passing from vault to vault, unseen by the public. And yet, for all the secrecy, the market also thrives on display. Major coin shows and museum exhibitions sometimes showcase legendary rarities, and when they do, crowds gather. People press their faces to the glass to glimpse a tiny coin glowing under spotlights. They take photos, even though the coin is only a copper-colored speck in the frame. They whisper to each other about the price. This ritual transforms the coin into a relic, almost a holy object. The 1990 no-s proof has appeared in such displays, and each appearance deepens its aura. Seeing it in person makes it real, and that reality makes the dream more tangible to collectors who hope someday to own one. This cycle, secrecy feeding desire, display feeding myth, is the engine that keeps the legend alive. What's astonishing is how all of this, the shows, the networks, the hype, the nostalgia, revolves around something so physically small and materially cheap. The metal in a 1990 cent is worth less than a cent. The coin weighs less than a paperclip. And yet it has generated an economy of dealers, graders, collectors, marketers, auctioneers, and appraisers. It has created livelihoods, sparked rivalries, and inspired quests. It has been photographed, insured, locked in vaults, tracked by serial number, and whispered about like buried treasure. This is the strange magic of numismatics. It turns matter into meaning, and meaning into money, and as long as people crave stories, that magic will endure. The 1990 cent will keep circulating in 2 worlds at once, the visible world, where every great coin has stories orbiting it like moons, and the 1990 Lincoln cent is no different. Some of these stories are whispered legends in the collector community, tales of ordinary people stumbling upon extraordinary fortune. They usually begin quietly, with someone dusting off an old proof set tucked in a drawer, something inherited from a parent or purchased decades ago, and forgotten. They open the plastic case expecting to see just another shiny penny, and then their eyes freeze on the date. 1990. They lean closer. Their pulse quickens. There's no mint mark. The spot where the tiny S should be is empty. At first they think it's just worn, maybe a trick of the light, but then they realize proof coins don't wear like that. Their heart starts hammering. They grab a magnifying glass. The coin is perfect, flawless mirrored fields, frosted devices, and that little space below the date is blank. Nothing. And in that moment, the air seems to vanish from the room. Because they know, if they're right, they are holding one of the rarest modern cents in existence. One of only a handful known. What happens next is almost ritual. They start researching feverishly, comparing photos online, checking known die markers. They hesitate to believe it's real, it feels too much like a dream. They reach out to a grading service, maybe PCGS or NGC, carefully packaging the coin, their hands trembling, sending it off registered mail. Days stretch into weeks. And then, finally, the email arrives. The grade is posted. 1990 No S Lincoln Cent, proof 69 deep cameo. Their heart stops. It's real. They have done it. In that moment, they are no longer just an anonymous hobbyist. They have become part of the coin's legend. Their name might never appear in catalogs, but their find will ripple through the collector world, whispered in shows and forums, proof that miracles still happen. That feeling, the lightning strike of discovery, is what drives thousands of collectors to keep looking year after year. Some tell stories of holding their newly certified 1990 OS proof for the first time, sealed in its crystal clear slab. They say it feels strangely heavy, even though it weighs the same 2.5 grams as any other cent. It's not the physical weight, it's the weight of significance. Of knowing they are holding something almost no one else on earth possesses. They describe how the light plays on its surface, how the mirrored fields reflect their own face back at them like a portal. They say it doesn't feel like money at all anymore. It feels like history, like fate, like something alive. Some even admit to being afraid to touch it, as if their breath might tarnish it, as if one careless moment could shatter its perfection. They lock it in safes. They insure it for tens of thousands. And sometimes, late at night, they take it out and just stare at it in silence, as if listening to the faint hum of destiny trapped in copper. These stories matter, because they reveal what this hunt is really about. It's not just about profit. It's about wonder. About taking something as small and familiar as a penny, the coin people leave on sidewalks without thinking, and discovering it can hold enough meaning to make your hands shake. It's about realizing that the ordinary world is filled with hidden miracles if you just learn how to see them. That revelation is addictive. It rewires the way collectors look at coins, and sometimes at life itself. Because if a penny can hide a fortune, what else might be hiding in plain sight? Even for those who never find one, the chase itself becomes a kind of treasure. Collectors talk about the quiet joy of searching rolls of pennies late at night, the rhythmic clink of coins, the momentary flash of hope with each 1990 date they turn over. Most are common. Almost all are common. But every coin is a tiny mystery, and that mystery keeps them going. They know the odds are astronomical, yet hope is a stubborn thing. They imagine how it will feel if someday they spot that missing S. That dream is like a lantern in the dark, drawing them forward. In this way, the 1990 No S proof has given meaning to countless hours of patient searching. It has turned simple metal discs into stars to navigate by. Meanwhile, those who do own one live in a strange duality. They are custodians of a treasure so small it could be lost down a drain. They carry insurance policies thicker than the coin itself. Some never tell anyone they have it, fearing theft or envy. Others quietly show trusted friends, watching their eyes widen as they understand what they are looking at. Owning such a coin creates a subtle distance from the everyday world, as if they are carrying a secret too powerful to explain. Because how could you explain that a 1-cent coin could buy a car, or a house, or change your life? How could you explain that something everyone ignores is something you guard like a crown jewel? Only other collectors truly understand. As the years pass, the mystique only deepens. The number of surviving 1990 NOS proofs will never grow. It can only shrink as time erodes them, as accidents happen, as they disappear into vaults and estates. Scarcity solidifies like stone. Demand, meanwhile, has proven remarkably resilient. Each new generation of collectors rediscovers the thrill of the hunt, the allure of rarity. They join forums, read price guides, watch auction results, and sooner or later they hear the tale of the 1990 NOS cent. Their eyes light up. The cycle begins again. This is how legends survive, not through metal, but through longing passed from one heart to another. What, then, of the future? What will become of these coins in 50 years, in 100? Imagine the year 2075. Physical cash has mostly vanished, pennies are long obsolete, and yet deep in the vault of a major museum rests a tiny copper-plated disc from 1990. It sits under a spotlight in a climate-controlled case. A plaque explains its story, how billions were made that year, and how only a few proof coins escaped without their mint mark, becoming some of the rarest small-denomination coins of the 20th century. Visitors line up to see it. They press their hands to the glass, marveling that something so tiny could carry such weight. The curator explains that its market value in the early 21st century was tens of thousands of dollars, an unimaginable sum for a penny. Children stare, wide-eyed. Some of them go home and ask their grandparents if they have any old proof sets. The hunt begins anew. By then, perhaps, one will finally break a six-figure auction record. As more disappear into long-term collections and fewer appear on the market, scarcity will harden their value like diamond. A future collector, desperate to complete a set, might pay whatever it takes. And somewhere, another human heart will hammer with disbelief as they win the auction, as they realize they are now the custodian of a legend. Because the story will still be alive. The story is what survives when metal fades. Even now, that story is what gives the 1990 penny its strange glow. It's not its weight, or its size, or its composition. It's the way it slips between worlds. The everyday and the extraordinary, the seen and the hidden, the worthless and the priceless. Most coins stay what they are. But the 1990 penny has become something more, a mirror of human wonder, a symbol of the possibility that treasure might be anywhere. That even the smallest thing can carry the largest dreams. That maybe, just maybe, the world is still full of miracles disguised as pennies. Time moves forward, but legends have a way of resisting time, of clinging to the edges of human memory like echoes. The 1990 Lincoln cent, born as a simple copper-plated zinc disc in the waning years of the 20th century, now stands poised to outlive not only the era that produced it, but even the physical systems of currency themselves. Already the world is shifting toward digital money, invisible numbers sliding across screens, and yet this tiny coin persists. As physical cash fades from everyday life, the few surviving 1990 NOS proof cents become not less valuable but more, because they are not just coins anymore. They are anchors to a vanished world. They are the last whispers of the age when money had weight, when value clinked in your palm, when children could buy candy with something they found on the sidewalk. This fading context only magnifies their allure. As pennies disappear from circulation, the survivors transform into relics, as mysterious and distant as ancient Roman coins felt to 20th century collectors. In the decades ahead, technology will reshape the way these coins are preserved and traded. Already, advanced digital imaging and spectroscopy can map their surfaces down to the microscopic level, creating 3D digital twins that can be authenticated even if the physical coin is halfway around the world. In the future, this technology may become standard, each rare coin scanned in ultra-high resolution, its every scratch and reflection recorded in an immutable blockchain ledger. This will make counterfeiting virtually impossible, and it will also make ownership transferable in an instant. Collectors might buy and sell stakes in a 1990 NOS cent the way people buy shares in a painting. A single coin could have dozens of fractional owners, each holding a piece of its value, each watching its price rise like stock. The physical coin itself would rest in a vault, guarded by biometric locks, while its image glows on screens across the globe like a digital shrine. This merging of ancient metal and futuristic technology will only heighten its mystique, artificial intelligence will also become part of the story. Already, AI can detect the subtlest differences between authentic and altered coins, training on millions of images. In the future, collectors may submit a photo of a coin taken with a phone, and an AI will instantly confirm if it's genuine, grade it to within a hair of human accuracy, and place it in a live global price index that updates by the second. The 1990 NOS cent will sit at the summit of that index like a king on a mountain, its every sale watched in real time by thousands of eyes. When one changes hands, it will ripple through collector communities like lightning, pushing prices higher, igniting hope that another might surface. AI will not kill the magic. It will amplify it, spreading the legend to new generations who grew up never touching coins but still crave the thrill of owning one. Museums will take up the role of guardians as private collectors age and their treasures pass into estates. The Smithsonian might acquire one. The American Numismatic Association Museum might display another in a permanent exhibit called The Last Pennies, showing the arc of the Lincoln cent from 1909 to its final years. Children on school trips will press their faces to the glass, learning how this single coin changed the meaning of value. Digital holograms might hover beside it, showing its atomic structure, its minting history, its chain of ownership stretching back through decades. To them, it will seem almost mythical, a relic from an age of physical wealth, like seeing the crown jewels of a forgotten kingdom. And yet, in that tiny disc, they will glimpse something familiar, the outline of Lincoln, the simple date 1990, and they will feel, for a moment, connected to the people who once carried such coins in their pockets. Meanwhile, private collectors will continue to treasure them with almost religious devotion. Some will build entire vaults just to house a single coin, monitored by humidity sensors and vibration alarms. They will insure them for millions, not because the metal is worth millions, but because the story is. They will fly across the world to attend auctions where one is offered, sitting in hushed rooms where the bidding climbs in dizzying increments, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, until the hammer falls and the room erupts in applause. The winner will walk away dazed, clutching a small clear slab that cost more than a house, their heart pounding, knowing they have become the newest link in a chain of destiny stretching back to a quiet day in 1990 when a mint employee struck a proof cent without its S. And as time rolls on, the price may rise beyond anything imaginable today. If there are only a few dozen known and demand stretches across the globe, a future collector might pay $1 million or more just to complete a set, just to hold the missing piece. To outsiders this will seem insane, paying a fortune for a penny, but to those inside the world of numismatics, it will make perfect sense. Because what they are buying is not copper or zinc. They are buying history, rarity, immortality. They are buying a piece of time that cannot be remade. That is the true currency of collectors, not metal, but meaning. By then, the world may not even use coins at all. Children will learn about them the way we learn about fossils, strange artifacts from a vanished age. And yet, somewhere in a vault, the 1990 NOS cent will still gleam, untouched, eternal. It will outlast empires, outlast the paper money that replaced it, outlast even the digital currencies that replaced the paper. It will endure because it has become something beyond money, a symbol, a myth, a spark of human wonder pressed into metal. And as long as humans crave wonder, it will never lose its value. Collectors in that distant future might sit in silent rooms staring at their coin through glass, knowing they are touching the edge of eternity. They will think of the millions of ordinary 1990 cents scattered across the world, worn and forgotten, and then they will look back at the one in front of them, flawless, perfect, alone. They will feel time collapse around it, decades folding inward like petals, until all that remains is this tiny disk, this impossible survivor, glowing like a star caught in copper. And in that moment, they will understand why people once paid fortunes for a penny. Because they will feel the same pull, the same awe, the same quiet voice whispering, "This is not just a coin. This is a miracle." Somewhere, in the quiet hours when the world sleeps and city lights fade to a distant hum, collectors write letters. Not emails, not texts, but actual letters on thick paper, penned slowly by hand, as if the words themselves must be worthy of the treasure they describe. These letters pass in secrecy between old friends and silent rivals, between men and women who have spent lifetimes chasing whispers of rare coins. And often, in the soft curling ink, one name appears like a sacred code, 1990 NOS. The letters speak of rumors, of sightings, of a coin glimpsed in a dealer's private safe under the glow of a single lamp. They speak of auctions not yet announced, of collectors who might be persuaded to sell if the price is right, of fortunes quietly changing hands behind closed doors. The tone is always hushed, reverent, as if they are discussing not a coin but a relic, a talisman, a fragment of destiny. In one such letter, an aging collector might confess something he has never told anyone. That he has spent decades chasing this coin, not because of its price, but because it became a symbol of time slipping through his fingers. He began collecting as a boy, pulling coins from change, dreaming of discovering something rare. Years passed. Jobs, houses, losses, triumphs, all drifted by like shadows. And yet the dream of the 1990 NOS cent endured, constant and unchanging, waiting for him. He might write that he knows he will not live forever, but if he can place that coin in his collection before he dies, he will have captured something that will outlast him, something that will whisper his name into the future. The coin will still be shining long after he is gone, and in that way, a part of him will live on. This is the true secret of the 1990 cent. It has become a vessel for human immortality. To own it is to step outside the flow of time, if only for a moment. Other letters tell of rivalries that have lasted lifetimes. Two collectors who nod politely to each other at shows, who smile while their eyes burn with the same hunger. Each knows the other is searching for the same thing. They circle auctions like predators, outbidding each other by razor-thin margins, each determined to be the one who finally claims the elusive coin. Sometimes they win, sometimes they lose, but the rivalry becomes its own kind of bond, a thread of destiny tying their lives together. They may never speak of it aloud, but in secret they know, without the other, the chase would have been lonely. Their opponent gave their quest shape, gave it meaning. And so they keep chasing, year after year, driven by the invisible gravity of that shared obsession. Some coins live in vaults so secret their owners never speak of them. These are not bank safety deposit boxes or household safes. They are underground chambers, climate-controlled, lined with steel and motion sensors, built to withstand fire, flood, and time itself. Inside, coins rest in individual cases under soft white light, each tagged with RFID chips, monitored by silent cameras. The 1990 NOS cent, when it appears in such a place, becomes less like money and more like a beating heart locked in glass. Its owner may visit only rarely, unlocking layer after layer of security, descending into the quiet hum of the vault to stand alone before the coin, staring at it in the silence, hearing only their own breath. In those moments, the outside world falls away. There is only them, and the coin, and the sense that they are standing before a portal, a tiny round window into another reality where time stands still. These collectors know something that cannot be said aloud, that what they are really collecting is not coins, but pieces of themselves. Memories crystallized in metal. The thrill of their first find. The hope that pulled them through hard times. The pride of building something enduring in a world that forgets so quickly. The 1990 NOS cent gathers all these feelings like a black hole gathers light. It becomes the ultimate symbol of what collecting means. It is not just rare, it is impossible, and yet it exists. That paradox mirrors life itself. We know life is fleeting, and yet we chase permanence. We know we will be forgotten, and yet we carve our names into history if we can. This coin has become that carving. It is the proof that something small can defy oblivion. At night, some owners place their coin on the table and simply sit with it. They do not speak. They let the silence stretch until they can feel their heartbeats slowing to match the stillness of the metal. They think of all the hands it passed through, all the eyes that gazed on it with longing, all the rooms it has lit up just by existing. They realize they are not the first to love it, and will not be the last. They are just the current guardian in a line of guardians stretching beyond the horizon of memory. One day they will be gone, and the coin will continue. That knowledge brings not sadness but peace. Because in that moment they understand, Nothing truly dies if it leaves behind something that endures. The legend has grown so powerful now that it is no longer just a story within the collector world. It has seeped into art, into literature, into the wider culture. Painters have depicted the 1990 penny as a glowing ember in dark space, the last spark of civilization. Novelists have woven it into their plots as a symbol of chance, of fate, of destiny hiding in plain sight. In films, characters whisper about a penny worth millions, a single coin that can rewrite lives. The public may not know the full truth, but they sense the myth. They sense that somewhere out there is a penny so rare it could buy an empire, and that sense keeps the mystery alive. Even people who have never held a coin album now glance at their change once in a while, just in case. The myth has become self-sustaining, and yet, through all this grandeur, the coin itself remains silent. It does not know its own story. It does not know it has become a symbol of immortality. It simply exists, unchanged, the same small round disc struck in 1990, resting now in darkness or light, in vault or pocket or dream. Perhaps that is why it moves people so deeply, because it asks nothing, expects nothing, and yet carries the weight of eternity. It is a mirror, reflecting back whatever longing we pour into it. And in that mirror, we see our own fragile lives, and our yearning to make them matter. The 1990 NOS cent has become more than a coin. It has become the heartbeat of human hope, faint and steady, echoing through the years. Centuries pass like silent waves, erasing the world we knew. The nations that minted coins are long dissolved into dust. Cities crumble, oceans rise, new continents form from the bones of the old. Humanity reshapes itself, shedding skin after skin, until it becomes something almost unrecognizable. People no longer carry money, no longer trade in metal or paper. Their wealth is woven into light, into code that drifts like mist through vast planetary networks. The old currencies are forgotten, their symbols faded from memory. And yet, deep in the darkness, locked within a chamber of glass and steel and silence, a tiny copper-plated disc endures. It bears the date 1990. It bears the image of a long-dead man named Lincoln. It bears no mint mark. It does not know it is the last of its kind. But it is. The final 1990 NOS cent left in all existence. And no one has touched it in centuries. It rests in a floating archive orbiting a cold, quiet moon, kept at perfect temperature and humidity by machines that have not seen a living hand in generations. A plaque glows softly in the darkness beside it, etched with words in a dozen extinct languages, explaining that this object was once called a cent, that billions were made, and that only a few escaped with this rare flaw. The machines maintain the air, the gravity, the shielding from cosmic rays. They do not understand what they protect. They only follow their programming, preserve this artifact. Preserve this story. Because long ago, when the last human curators knew their time was ending, they chose a few objects to send into the far future, a handful of things to bear witness to what they were. And among those things they chose a penny. Outside, stars burn and die, galaxies drift like glowing embers across the black. Ages pass. Civilizations rise and fall on distant worlds, never knowing the Earth that once was. The archive drifts on, silent, patient, timeless. And then, one day, something stirs. A vessel approaches, shaped like no ship ever seen before, a shimmering arc of living metal. It belongs to descendants of humanity who left Earth so long ago they no longer remember they are human. They are explorers of time as much as space, seeking fragments of their forgotten origin. They breach the archive, their forms gliding like shadows through the dark, their minds humming in patterns of light. And there, hovering under glass, they see the coin. They pause, though they no longer have eyes as we know them. They scan it, analyze its atoms, its structure, its date. They do not understand the man's face on it, the numbers, the missing mint mark. But something about it strikes them silent. Perhaps it is the sheer impossibility that this fragile thing has survived while empires and oceans and even memory have perished. Perhaps it is that faint human warmth still clinging to it, like the ghost of a heartbeat. In their strange way, they understand. This was loved. This was treasured. This meant something. And that realization moves them, though they do not know the word for moving anymore. They remove the coin gently from its cradle and carry it back to their vessel, and for the first time in 1,000 years, the 1990 cent leaves its vault. They take it with them across the stars. It becomes a sacred object, though they no longer know why. They place it in their central chamber, and they build a glowing lattice of memory around it, trying to imagine the beings who made it, who once bent over it with beating hearts and trembling hands. They see flashes, ancient skies, crowded markets, dusty streets, the laughter of children pressing coins into small blue books, the trembling hands of collectors unsealing proof sets in quiet rooms, the wild joy of discovering the missing S. The visions ripple through their minds like forgotten dreams. They do not understand the details, but they understand the feeling. Wonder, longing, hope. The coin sings these things without sound. It is the last voice of a lost world. They carry it further, into the dark beyond the known stars, until they reach the edge of the galaxy. There, among drifting clouds of starlight, they build a monument, not to themselves, not to their power, but to the fragile beings who first dared to dream of permanence. At the center of this monument they place the coin, suspended in a beam of soft, golden light. It spins slowly, endlessly, a tiny world unto itself. Around it they inscribe a single phrase in every language they have gathered across the stars. Even the smallest thing can last forever. And then they leave it there, glowing in the dark, a single cent cradled in eternity. A million more years pass. Stars wink out one by one. The galaxy grows cold and thin. And still, in the quiet heart of that forgotten monument, the coin turns. It has outlasted the men who struck it, the collectors who loved it, the world that birthed it, the species that once called it money. It has outlasted history. It has become time itself. And somewhere, somehow, in the deep silent fabric of the universe, the echo of human hearts still beats within it, faint and eternal. What began as a penny has become a star. What began as an accident has become a legend. What began as almost nothing has become the last memory of everything. Right now, as you hear these words, the world moves on unaware. Trains rumble through midnight stations. Neon lights hum over empty sidewalks. Somewhere, a cashier counts change with tired hands, copper coins clinking like raindrops. They do not know that among those billions of ordinary pennies, one might be different. One might carry a quiet flaw, invisible to every rushing eye, the absence of a mint mark, a blank space small enough to vanish in a blink, and yet large enough to hold the universe. It rests for now in a cash drawer, unremarked upon, waiting. It does not know it has been the subject of rivalries, of letters whispered between old collectors, of vaults built like fortresses, of dreams that stretched across centuries. It does not know it could be worth more than empires. It simply waits, still and silent, for someone to notice. Maybe it rests tonight in a shoebox under someone's bed, sealed in a forgotten proof set bought long ago as a Christmas gift. Dust gathers on the lid. The cardboard smells faintly of time. Its owner hasn't opened it in decades. Maybe they think it's worthless. Maybe they almost threw it away last spring during a moment of cleaning. And yet inside, behind clear plastic, the coin sleeps, flawless, untouched, still holding the same soft glow it had on the day it was struck. If someone were to open that box tomorrow morning and look closely, if they held it to the light and tilted it gently, they might see what the world has forgotten to see. They might see the blank space wherein S should be. And everything would change. It could be you. It could be anyone. That's the strange power of this story, that something so impossibly rare could still be hiding in plain sight, passing through human hands like a secret waiting to be spoken. The 1990 no cent is not locked away in myth alone. It is out here somewhere, woven into the fabric of daily life, a single spark buried in an ocean of copper. That possibility hums in the air, faint and electric. It means the boundary between the ordinary and the extraordinary is thinner than we think. It means the miracle is not gone, it's just waiting for someone who knows how to see it. Imagine that moment. The soft click as the proof set opens. The sudden stillness in the air. The racing heart as realization dawns, as your eyes widen and your breath catches and you whisper the words almost afraid to speak them aloud, no S. You would be standing in the same place as every collector who came before, standing on the edge where the known world crumbles into wonder. You would feel time folding around you, all the stories, the rivalries, the letters, the vaults, the centuries, the futures yet to come, collapsing into this one fragile moment in your trembling hands. And you would understand what they understood, that this coin is not just a coin. It is proof that wonder still walks among us disguised as the smallest things. Perhaps you would send it away for grading, your hands shaking as you pack it, your mind buzzing like a storm. Perhaps weeks later you would see your name flash across headlines, your coin displayed on auction screens as numbers climb higher and higher, the world suddenly watching as your quiet discovery becomes legend. Or perhaps you would keep it secret, locked away where only you could see it, a private star glowing in the darkness of your own life. Either way, you would never look at pennies the same way again. You would never look at the world the same way again. Because you would know, now, that the impossible is real, and even if you never find one, even if you search for years and never see that missing S, the legend will have already changed you. It will whisper to you whenever you see a flash of copper in your palm. It will remind you that there is magic woven through the fabric of everyday things, waiting for those who dare to look closely enough. It will remind you that even the smallest object can carry the weight of eternity. That even the humblest thing can outshine the stars. That even a penny can hold a piece of forever.so tonight, as the world hums quietly around you, you might find yourself reaching for that jar of coins on the shelf. You might pour them out onto the table, one by one, under the soft glow of a lamp. You might turn them gently, slowly, your breath catching each time you see that date, 1990, and for a moment you might feel the old thrill stirring in your chest. Because somewhere, maybe here, maybe not, a miracle could be waiting. And if you find it, if the world suddenly tilts and fate falls into your hand, you will become part of the story. The legend will carry your name in its invisible thread. And long after all the lights have gone out, the coin will remain, gleaming softly in the dark, whispering across time that once, long ago, you were the one who saw what no one else could see. It began as nothing, just a flash of copper on a factory floor in 1990, one among billions, struck in a breath of fire and pressure and chance. It did not ask to be different. It did not know it was missing the smallest mark, a single letter that would change everything. It rolled off the press and into the river of time, vanishing into the countless coins that clinked through pockets and purses and cash drawers. It was just 1 cent, as small and silent as a heartbeat. But something happened. People began to notice. They saw what was missing, and in that absence they found meaning. They saw not just a flaw, but a spark, proof that even in the endless machinery of the world miracles can slip through. They gathered around it, whispered about it, built vaults to hold it, fought for it, dreamed of it, feared it, loved it, and as they did, they poured themselves into it. Their hope, their longing, their belief that something so small could hold eternity. Piece by piece, their stories fused with its metal until it was no longer just copper. It became something else. It became them. Years passed. Decades blurred. Centuries drifted like dust. Empires rose and vanished. Even memory began to fade. But the coin endured. It endured in hidden safes and secret letters, in trembling hands and pounding hearts. In the quiet breath before an auctioneer called the first bid. It endured when the world forgot what money even was. It endured when stars went cold. And it endured when the last voice of its makers was gone, still glowing faintly in the dark, still carrying the echo of human wonder inside it. And now, here it is. Here, in this moment, in this world that still hums with life. Here, where trains rattle and children laugh and cash drawers snap open in warm light. Here, where you sit listening to this story, your hand may be resting on a coin jar, your heart may be beating a little faster than before. Here, where the line between the ordinary and the extraordinary has grown so thin you can almost see through it. The 1990 no cent is not gone. It is still out there, silent, waiting for someone who dares to look closely enough, waiting for someone who still believes that wonder can hide in plain sight. Maybe it will never be found again. Maybe it already has, and sits even now behind glass in the quiet dark. Or maybe, just maybe, it rests tonight in a place no one has thought to look, still shining softly, still whispering to the stars. And if one day you are the one who finds it, if the world shifts and the impossible falls into your palm, you will feel it, the weight of it, not in grams or in dollars, but in centuries. In dreams. In everything we were, and everything we hope to be. And when you hold it up to the light, when you see that empty space wherein S should be, you will understand the truth they all understood in the end, that the smallest things can carry the greatest stories, that the humblest object can hold forever, and that even the tiniest spark of wonder, once found, can outshine the dark. And then, as the world spins quietly on, you will close your hand around it, and the legend will begin again.